Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us again. My name is Jose Rodriguez, and I have my co-host here,
David Diocando.
and we are coming back to you with our second episode of Words Are Tough, our new podcast discussing a lot of different things from, art, music, life in general, and today especially we're starting off with on a very somber note.
Very much.
Yeah, because we've just learned that DMX has passed away. He was on life support after suffering numerous heart attacks, and it's just very, very rough moment for a lot of people that were fans of his. How have you been navigating everything online today? It's been all over the place.
It was, this is, I don't want to sound insensitive, but it's this sort of monthly or bi-monthly thing that's been happening now since Kobe died, I think, last 2020 in January. I feel like every other month there's a person I grew up watching or admiring pass away, from Kobe to Chadwick Boseman to, oh my gosh, I forgot his name, the Jeopardy guy.
Alex Trebek?
Alex Trebek, Larry King. So, yeah, I hate to sound like I'm used to it, but since the past 2 years, it's been like every month I've been hearing information of and it's not just like it's usually like a person I grew up watching or listening to or admiring, like Kobe, like Larry King and stuff like that, because I've been watching Larry King since I was a child, and he's always looked like old. Yeah. Like I've never seen Larry King look young, but anyway, for DMX, I feel like, I could be completely wrong, and my hip-hop rap history is completely off most likely, but probably the first rap music I can actually chant to, and it was very...
high energy.
Yeah, and his voice was very unique, and I thought it was just like a voice he put on, and then I heard one of his interviews, I'm like, oh no, that's actually how he talked. Like, he just had a really, like, deep, guttural voice. I feel like if he was some same attitude, same spirit, but, like, some white kid in, like, Iowa, he'd probably be, like, a throat singer. Like,
death metal.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I feel like he was one of the first rappers I can remember that had, like, a very distinctive voice. Again, though, I'm sure there's a lot of other rappers before him, but... from my memory, I feel like, I don't know, well, one of the first, I guess, growing up, I was like, yeah, this guy's pretty cool. And also that one album where he's just like shirtless with like hands like that, full of blood. I forgot the name of the album.
Flesh Off My Flesh?
Yeah, right? I was like, I'm going to buy that. And I bought it. My mom's like, so what is this? This is like Diablo. This is devil shit. I'm like, no, it's rap. It's okay. And she didn't like it. It was very like, I hate to say hardcore, but it was a very hardcore kind of like cover to have.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it's funny you said that word, because what I was thinking was he kind of epitomized for me, like when people used to say gangster rap or hardcore rap.
Right.
Like when I think of hardcore rap in a musical sense, it's him. You know what I mean? He's
right.
the one that's really bringing the voice like that. But yeah, man. Do you think, going back to your point about all the stars and people like that you looked up to, do you think that's a result of us getting older, or do you think it's a result of like social media and more stars being built up?
I think it's obviously a combination of those two, but I think we tend, or not we, because I can't put everyone in a box, but I tend to view these sort of icons as timeless. Like, they'll always be there. Like, they're like, but you forget that as I'm getting older, which is 35, which is far from old, but it's still, we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're being an adults. You realize, oh wait, they're getting older too. And I found out that The Rock is like 48, and I'm like, he's 48? He's almost 50? Or even like one of my favorite comedians, Bobby Lee, is 50. And I'm like,
yeah.
Since when was he 50? Like, he's always been this ominous age. You know, these people don't have age. They're just that person. But you kind of, and again, I think that's mostly the media or people just putting just regular people with extraordinary jobs on a pedestal, and they become this sort of like, you know, icon of sorts. But I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? It's also like just recently I was watching this documentary. It was called "Exterminate All the Brutes" on HBO, and it's very intense. I guess I invite everyone to watch it. It's a lot
Exterminate All the Brutes.
Yeah, and it's basically pretty much on like colonial history. You know, pretty much before, you know, when it was all natives living here in pretty much all of America, not just North America, but
the Americas.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of what do you call dramatizations or dramatizations?
Dramatizations?
Dramatizations, yeah.
Yeah. Words are tough.
Yeah.
Dramatizations.
And the actor that he picked to do them, as I would guess, colonialist and things like that, was Josh Hartnett, who has been out of the limelight for a long time. And being that like some of these stars, they're there the whole time, you just kind of are on a journey with them. But when they drop out, or like Freddie Prinze Jr., you know, like he just pops out of nowhere and now he's got like gray hair where you're like, whoa.
Right.
You're like, I'm that old.
Yeah.
And I just think that's plays into it too, that they've been in front of our face for so long.
Right.
You know?
But I've noticed, and from the feedback from friends that watched the first episode, a lot of my friends said, hey, you're like everywhere with like what you're talking about. It was fun to follow because like every 5-10 minutes we had a different thing to talk about, or even like every 2 minutes. But like, can you just pick a topic and kind of like center around and sprout out from that center? And I'm like, okay, cool. Then I exchanged information with you, and I decided, or we decided, we're going to talk about love, hate, like the topic of love, hate, and like things that you both mutually admire and like, but also at the same time really dislike and loathe. But I actually was mentioning age and the Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and he's probably one of the first guys I love and hate at the same exact time. Because one, I mean, I'll start with the positives. Obviously, like he, you know, came from Hawaii with a single mom. I mean, obviously his dad was around. He was Rocky Maivia in the WWF. Mm-hmm. But, you know, was raised by a single mom and was inspiring. And, you know, he has his own company and, you know, kind of rags to riches story, which people admire. But at the same time, he's just really corny. Like, I see him on, like, I see him on Instagram, and Tom Segura mentioned a comedian. He said he talks with his teeth. And I'm like, he does talk with his teeth. He's like, he'll be like, welcome to Iron Paradise, you know, like, we're going to work out our legs. Like, he's like talking he's very teethy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop talking with your teeth, man. Like, you're jacked, and you're probably, a hug, like, if he was here in this room, I'd probably hug his leg and call him daddy. I really would. But, like, on social media, I'm like, please stop talking with your teeth. And that kind of goes on the same, I mean, he's very inspiring, works out, obviously, he's huge. He's going more the Sly Stallone, Arnold route with, like, that type of actor, which is great, which I guess we're kind of lacking, I suppose. But the whole Fitspo motivation, gym rat kind of thing I like. I'm obviously wearing like a Bev Francis like hoodie, which is like the mecca for like East Coast bodybuilding. But at the same time, I hate it. Like I it's so annoying online. Like it's just so obnoxious. I remember some time ago, one mom, I believe, I don't know if she was Latino or Latina. I'm not really sure, but she was on her knees with like, you know, like a tank top and her belly showing. She had like 4 kids in front of her. She's like, I have 4 kids. What's your excuse? And it's like, good for you. Like, this is great. Like, I'm so happy for you that you have 4 kids and you have a 6-pack, and it's great. But like, shut up. Like
Yeah.
Like not really shut up, but like it's like it's so people have legit excuses on why they can't look like you. Like they really do, and don't shame them that they can't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think sometimes when people work really hard at something, and you know what? A lot of times those people that do that, they're kind of those people that are kind of blessed with genetics, so they kind of work half as hard to get there, and then they just like, kind of maybe gives them that little arrogance that it's like, oh, you could do it, you just don't want to, you know? It's because it was so easy for them, well, easier than for other people, you know? I think that might be part of it.
Yeah, and I've actually, referencing the whole genetics thing, I had friends that asked me, how do I lose weight? You're fit, you work out, and I'm like, don't ask me. I never had that problem. I've never had the problem losing weight, like knock on wood or knock on plastic table. But like my issue has always been gaining weight or gaining weight and maintaining it. But when a lot of these times with people on an Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media, and also that's another side note is sometimes people just create content for content's sake. And it's like, let me just put something out there and be, in quote, inspiring, just steal a quote that they find online and put it on their picture. And I don't think the intent is malicious in any way. It just, can you think a little bit more before you post things kind of thing?
Yeah.
You know?
You know what? Sometimes, too, I think people get so wrapped up in social media, like, they'll have people who they compare their social media to and, like, haters and things like that, you know, and it's all like in their head and stuff, you know, and then so they're like responding to the haters and things, you know, like weird posts that people do.
Yeah.
And like I know like some married couples will like post like shade about people that are like out partying and they have kids, you know, just weird things that social media just kind of like
right
in their little like head, you know, that people build up and.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, some people. They're driven by, you know, just like positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. A lot of people can't see the positive, so their only option is to just be driven by the negative, which, I mean, like, hence focusing on love, hate. Like, if we want to focus on just the stuff that we hate about the internet, we can, or social media, or stuff that we love. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can talk for hours on both, but it's a weird thing. Like it's one of my colleagues once told me, you know, social media is like fire. You can either warm your house with it or you can burn it down. Matters how you use it. And I'm like, yep, you're right. It's like it's not the tool; it's the individuals using that particular tool that can really like. You can build an empire with it, or you can just completely destroy your life and like waste it just being on social media.
It's true. And then you know what else I hate about the whole social media thing is the people that aren't on social media who are like, oh, social media is like the downfall of society and all that stuff. And it's like you're just focusing on the worst parts of social media.
Yeah.
Just like you're probably focusing on the worst parts of society outside in the real world.
You can say the same thing about cars.
Yeah.
You know, like cars are the worst thing ever. It wasn't for cars, you wouldn't have so many car accidents. Like, yeah, but like how many people actually... How much good has there been with vehicles, you know, and getting from here to there? Like, it took me, 45 minutes to get here, but I'm pretty sure if I had a horse and carriage or a bicycle, probably take me twice or 3 times as long to get here, even more.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because this house that we're in right now, when my dad bought it, this whole attic didn't exist, and it was just like storage and like cobwebs and wood, and there were pictures up here of this house being the only house in like over a mile radius, and it's just like dirt roads and stuff like that. There were like horseshoes up here and wooden candles. Yeah, this house is really old.
There's a lot of history. It's kind of scary. That's actually a topic we're going to talk about the next episode.
Yeah,
about creepy stuff. But going back to, I guess the whole love-hate.
I did have one that connected, actually.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So we were on the online topic. One of my love-hates on my list was online dating.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the reason...
I put quotes, dating in quotes. Is it really dating or is it something else? But go on.
Yeah, the reason I do love it it's because I've met a lot of good people through it.
Me too.
Well, I mean, mostly women, but, I guess friends of theirs that I've become friends with. Things
I
like
met
that.
some guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
By mistake, but they're cool.
Yeah. And, no, totally. And, I met my current girlfriend online.
Nice.
Which is also cool. But at the same time, I think there's, a huge disparity in, the experience for the male compared to the female.
Go on.
What we did one time is we made an account for one of our friends that was a girl.
Mm.
And most of the time we were just in our experience, what you go in there, you send messages to girls, and it's like a number game.
Yeah.
They're getting tons of messages.
It's quantity.
Yeah, and we didn't know to what level. And we, I'm not going to mention the girl's name, obviously, but let's just say, she's she would say that she's an 8 out of a 10, she would say she's a very attractive girl, but she's not on social media, posting pictures on a yacht and
she's attractive.
Yeah.
So she's not throwing herself out there kind of thing.
She got in the first day 260 messages.
I believe that. I believe very much.
260 messages, and we were just she's I can't do this.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. But instead, you have to send out 50 messages, and
And if
it's
the girl is kind and say thanks, no thanks, but I appreciate it, the guy's like, fuck you then, you're a bitch anyway. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, that's not the way to go.
I mean, I've actually have developed friendships and relationships through dating apps, and it's such a weird experience. My ex-girlfriend I actually met through Tinder, and we're still cool and we're still friends, and probably one of the coolest people I've ever met. But before I even met her, I had several dates and weird conversations online, and they didn't all go they're very weird. It's really hard to read people just via text. There's no context with their tone. There's no context with it's kind of weird to connect me as a teacher with dating apps. But I'm teaching online because of the COVID-19 pandemic issue. And I'm just staring at a blank screen with a bunch of names, and I'm talking, and I get no feedback, or just how's your day? Good. But, so it's what can you get out of that information? But going back to the whole dating app thing, similarly, it's when you're trying to meet someone online and you just see a picture and you respond hey, how's your day going? And you don't know their tone. You don't know how their day is going unless they're really good at writing, which very few people are. And I mean, I can't imagine if I was a woman and you're kind of just rolling the dice. You really are. And you don't even know this person is even real. Is this guy even a real person? And but I actually did, and this is not FYI, I'm a heterosexual male, but I did have a time when men would actually DM me via Instagram or even my website, actually send me messages through my website or even Facebook, and be up front, hey, you're kind of cute, we should meet up. I'm no thanks, you're cool, but no thanks. But now he's a friend, but one guy I met online, and he's an artist, cool guy, and he's hey, I have a job opportunity for you, wink, wink. And I'm okay. He's you should come over to my studio, I'll tell you all about it. I'm this is this is kind of creeper kind of shit. Yeah. So I asked my friend at the time, who was actually now my fiance, hey, this guy has a job opportunity for me, but can you come with me? Because I don't know.
Are you telling the story of the first time you did my podcast?
No.
No. I'm just kidding.
There's a connection there, but no. And we met him, cool guy, and now we're actually close friends. And he did just have a legit job opportunity for me, and got me a job as one of my first teaching jobs. But if I was a woman, that's a whole do I even bother? It can get very scary really quickly. You're really throwing you're really it can get bad
Yeah.
really fast.
Yeah, you
know.
gotta be careful nowadays online. I've seen some sticky situations like that where, especially women, they're obviously like dudes out there trying to like make OnlyFans content and stuff like that. And
Right.
They trick them into like it's a photography thing, and it gets really sticky there.
I actually went on a date with a trans woman. Yeah. And I didn't know they were trans when I met them like online. And you sometimes you see someone and you're like, you're kind of like, okay, like, I don't know. It's kind of, I'm trying to find my words, but you're like, there's certain signs. I'm like, they identify as a woman, so I just believe them, and I'll just leave it at that. And when I met them, we have a good conversation. Actually, they're really cool, and actually they ended up going to two of my art shows after that, which was really cool. But during their day, we actually went to Cuban Pete's in Montclair, which is great, by the way, but no alcohol, which sucks. And in the middle of the conversation, I just asked, like, are you trans? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, why didn't you say that before? She's like, because I didn't want you to get angry at me. And I'm like, I'm not angry. I'm just really confused. And then she just opened up and said, well, there's times when I would tell a guy and they get really mad at me or threatened by me. And I just advised her, like, listen, like, I'm cool. Like, it's whatever to me. Mm-hmm. But it's best to let the guy know beforehand.
Definitely.
Because I know.
That's dangerous too.
Yeah, and she was very scared. I'm like, no, we're cool. Like, I'm not mad at. I just, for the past few days, I was just very confused. I was seeing signs, and I just wanted to make sure, like, hey, like, we're on the same boat here. And cool person though, but yeah, like, dating. I guess I'm trying to stick with the love-hate thing. Like, I love meeting people online, but like, sometimes you just meet the wrong people, or not. I mean, I don't think meeting a trans woman, having a date is a wrong person in any way. Don't want to sound like that, but you can get into really weird interactions with people, and I'm like, how's this person in my life now? Like, I didn't know who this person was at all a week ago, but now they're like in my car, like crying about, I don't know, their ex-boyfriend, which has happened. And I'm like, oh, so I'm just sort of this like rebound date. Like, yeah, I'm like, all right, well, if you want to talk about it, cool. And I mean, it's a very, and again, it's easy for me to say because I'm a guy, so I never felt threatened. I mean, I can't say never, but I rarely ever feel threatened when I meet somebody. But yeah, it's a really bizarre. Have you ever been on a date with somebody and you're like, oh, like, this is odd?
Oh, yeah. No, I remember one time, one of the people I met through online dating, we went to go see David Guetta in Atlantic City. So it was like an elaborate thing. Like, we had to stay in a hotel because it's really far. And we had a grand old time up until the point after he was done.
Grand old time.
Yeah. And then is when the alcohol really hit overdrive,
You or the other person?
The other person.
Ooh.
And then, like, she couldn't sit up and all this stuff. Then she puked on me. Yeah, so it was pretty bad. Then we had to stay in the hotel.
Yeah, there's definitely like a, almost like that feeling when you're going up a roller coaster. You're like, oh, this is exciting, and then like you actually hit that tipping point, and you just, once you go over that point of you just inebriated, either you or the other person is, and the worst is, I mean, if I could pick, I'd much rather be the drunk person being taken care of than the sober person taking care of the drunk person. I
was by no means sober though, too. But
I mean, in relatively sober, and really relatively sober. But yeah, I mean, I've only gotten drunk like one time ever in my life. Nope, sorry, 2 times ever in my life. Both involving cops which is interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, which is I think it's a conversation for another time, for another episode. Because I've gotten drunk 2 times, and the second time I entered a police station sober, and I left drunk.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so that's a conversation for another time. So stay tuned. But I was online today. I think this is mostly just all online stuff today. But and I train jiu-jitsu, and you're getting back into jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, I think
Fingers
after
crossed.
the summer.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good. You better. I'm going to keep you to that. But my sort of love-hate thing when it comes to like social media, specifically in jiu-jitsu, is like there's like a lot of cool like BJJ fanatics and like other like groups like on Facebook or Reddit where people can converse and share and ask questions and whatnot, which is great, which I love, because in the past when I first started back in like 2007, you know, there wasn't much online conversations happening. If there were, they're very like, you know, in the assholes of like like in the internet. It was like deep in there somewhere.
What was that like very like popular forum in the beginning that it was just like when like Randy Couture was champion?
Oh, I forget.
Dana White always bashes them.
I forget.
They got banned from
Was it Show Dog?
Sure Dog.
Sure Dog?
Yeah.
Not Show Dog, sorry. But today I actually read a comment. I was like, 3-stripe white belt, I've been training for 6 months, and he like typed a paragraph, like a legit paragraph, and then he said, any tips on what I should have done? And my comment was like, talk to your instructor. Like, just talk to the people in your like space, in your, you know, academy, school, whatever, and like ask them. Like, they were there. Why? I mean, I won't say don't waste your time, but like, why are you spending so much time typing this out? Which, by the way, it's jiu-jitsu is hard visually. Imagine typing it out. Like, that's just so hard to visualize. And I've been doing it for like 14 years now, and it's really hard to like break down typing it out. But I always see these people commenting or posting questions about like, you know, I've been training for X amount of time, for a year or 2 years. I don't understand why I'm not getting promoted. I'm like, talk to your instructor. Like, oh, like, well, should I compete? Yes or no? I have this amount of experience. Should I compete? I'm like, talk to your instructor. Like, is your instructor just not in the room when you train? I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
The crazy thing is, too, at least in my experience, like a lot of times when I've gotten a stripe, or let's say the day I got my blue belt, it was a day that I was contemplating not going. You know, and then I'm like, damn, imagine if I didn't come today. You know,
that does happen sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just timing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'm happy that there's jiu-jitsu, like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu community where everyone is. It's very big, but it's also very small at the same time. Where everyone kind of just knows everybody, but like a lot of the times, all this like these questions I see online, it's like just talk to the person that is not. I won't say is in charge of you, but talk to your teacher, talk to your professor, talk to your instructor. Like, they're there helping you. It's, I won't say their job, but you're paying them to help you, to teach you. Not me. I'm just another fellow jiu-jitsu guy that chats once in a while, but ask them, you know, don't, and then you're prone to getting roasted. And people are saying, wow, what a dumb question. And you're like, wow, jiu-jitsu sucks. And then, like, I'm not saying don't ask questions online. It's just one of those, sometimes there's certain questions where, like, you don't need to ask that. You could just simply talk to your instructor. Especially when it comes to promotions. Like, 9 times out of 10, it's always been about promotions. Like, I don't understand. This guy started after me, and now I'm still a white belt, and that they got a blue belt before me. Why? You know, I don't understand. Should I move schools? Like, first of all, are you trying to learn jiu-jitsu, or are you just trying to get a colored belt around your waist? If you want a colored belt around your waist, just go online and order it on Amazon. Like, it's not that hard to order a black belt online. Go ahead. But obviously, you and I both know it's not really the belt. It's like the experience behind it. But,
yeah, exactly.
You know, but...
Yeah, it depends on the school, the way they teach, and what you want to get out of it. Because some schools, like, someone who just turned the blue belt could know a lot more technique than someone who's a purple belt in another discipline, just because of the way that they're based more off of like rolling and competition. Some places
Their focus,
are more focused on just the core techniques and getting that down, all your escapes, things like that. Yeah, it's pretty much what you want out of it. You know, you just got to make sure you go to the school, try it out.
Yeah, try it out. And also going back to like jiu-jitsu forums, it's like, oh, jiu-jitsu doesn't work because, you know, judo is better than jiu-jitsu because jiu-jitsu is all about butt scooting. And I'm like, the whole butt scooting is literally when you're butt scooting towards and away from your opponent. And I'm like, well, jiu-jitsu is multifaceted in the sense of like context matters. It's like there's obviously sport jiu-jitsu, and of course, sport jiu-jitsu, the competitors are just simply going based off the rules. So don't blame the martial art, blame the rules within that sport. You know, the reason why you don't see butt scooting in wrestling is because it doesn't work, one, and two, the referee will tell you to stand up or call you for stalling or passivity. So the whole butt scooting thing in the sense of in the context of sport jiu-jitsu, it's because the rules allow it to happen. Once you change the rules, then it won't happen. But also there's, again, context matters, just jiu-jitsu in the context of MMA, which is completely different because there's punching and kicking involved and sweat, and you're not wearing a gi. And then there's also gi and no gi sport jiu-jitsu, and there's also self-defense jiu-jitsu. And a lot of times guys will say, well, jiu-jitsu doesn't work because I tried this in a tournament and it didn't work, no gi. And I'm like, well, because that move is more focused on that's more of like a self-defense kind of move, not a sport jiu-jitsu kind of move.
Yeah.
And knowing the difference. And there's very few guys that are able to transition between like sport jiu-jitsu and MMA, and they also teach really good fundamental self-defense. I think I need to shout out Rafael Lovato Jr. because he's like, anywhere he goes, it's like he's amazing.
Yeah, he's great. He beat Musashi, right? The last fight?
Yeah. And because some guys, specific jiu-jitsu guys, they'll go from like gi world champion and then they go to MMA, and then like what happened? Like, you know, like what happened?
Yeah, it's funny too that you mentioned rules because just recently, I forget his name. He just got Peter Yan Needham in the
Aljamain Sterling. Yeah.
Peter Yan gave him an illegal blow, a knee when he was grounded, and Mighty Mouse had a lot to say about that, about how stupid it is and how it's illegal.
The rules kind
and just I don't know if you saw it, just this past
did.
Friday.
I know where you're going.
Yeah. He had to eat those words.
He did. He's
literally, he got taken out with a grounded knee.
So was Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse Johnson, 125-pounder, he was critiquing that Sterling should have not have won?
He was just critiquing that the rule's stupid in the first place.
Okay. And then a month later, and the guy that he got lost to is legit, but they had a scramble, and Demetrius Johnson was sort of on his one knee, and the guy just grabbed him by the back of the head and just kneed him in the head. And, luckily, Johnson is a really great sportsman, obviously came to, gave the guy a hug, good job, and I gotta watch the video.
Yeah, it was very poetic.
He
dropped him with an uppercut first.
Uppercut to knee, yeah.
That's why he was on the floor. But it's crazy. I thought this whole time he became the champion at 1, and he hadn't been the champion yet, right? This was his title fight. It was,
unlike the UFC doesn't do Grand Prix. Pride, ONE FC, Bellator, Invicta, they have these things called Grand Prix, which is literally just a really big tournament that takes about a year, not a night. And he beat three guys to get to the championship fight. Then he lost to that guy. Grand Prix are interesting. The only thing that sucks about Grand Prix is that so much can happen in a year, or however duration it is between your first fight to the final fight. And sometimes by the end, it's not so much who's the best fighter; it's who's just tougher, who can just who can fight 4 times in 1 year and win all 4 fights.
Yeah,
while the champion is sort of just like waiting. You know,
it's kind of like the weird, like not weird, but I mean it is rare. That PFL format where it's like a season.
Yeah, that's different.
And it's like a round robin type of tournament.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, but that's also kind of has that factor where you have to stay healthy, you know, like throughout the whole year because you have to compete on certain days. It's not like in the UFC where you can pick a date with your opponent. You know?
Yeah, it's more like boxing. It's, you know, there's no tournament aspect to in UFC. Nor do I think they ever want to adopt that. There's so many factors. And I mean, Daniel Cormier won the Grand Prix, Bellator Grand Prix, and he was seated ninth. Or even you have.
Oh no, I think you mean Strikeforce.
Strikeforce. Right? There you go. I apologize. Yeah. And also, Ryan Bader won the Grand Prix, and he wasn't even technically a heavyweight at that time. He bumped up from light heavyweight to heavyweight and ended up winning the whole thing. I think eventually beating Fedor. I think. I forget. My memory is off.
I gotta check that one.
Yeah, but it's like going back to jiu-jitsu and love-hate. It's like I obviously love jiu-jitsu. I've been doing it for a long, long time, but just sometimes just need to just get off the internet and just train. Just show up to your school and just train. Like,
yeah,
you know, you can go back and forth with whomever you want online, but what's gonna get you better? You know, is it having an argument with some other white, blue, purple belt online, or is it actually showing up to your particular respective school and training? You know, I'd rather just train and get better that way. I can say this with confidence. This is for me. I'm not going to say everyone else, but for me, I've never gotten better at arguing with somebody online about jiu-jitsu. I've never been like, like I got better doing that. Like I never happened. Yeah. Again, maybe you're different than I, but arguing online does not make me any better.
Imagine you just own this guy in the forum, and all of a sudden your instructor just opens the door and puts like a stripe on you.
You're like, good job, good argument, good arguments online, Dave. Like, no, it's never gonna happen. If anything, the way I view my position in the context of jiu-jitsu is like, I've been training for all these years. People have been helping me out, you know, putting down their ladder or their rope, and I climb it and I get better. And now I'm at the point where like I can just keep training with other black belts and like having these like little mini wars inside the academy, which is great. Or I can like pause and like, hey, this purple belt needs some help. This blue belt needs some help. This new guy that's like my size or smaller, just join. Let me help him out, you know. And it's a cool feeling when kind of putting myself in their position. Like when I was younger and started, it was a cool feeling, like seeing a purple belt, brown belt, or black belt say, hey, like I want to be your partner today. Come here. Like, what's your name? Come on. Yeah. And and so for me, that's where I'm at. But when it comes to my like jiu-jitsu journey, but yeah, for those wondering, white belts, blue belts online, yeah, just train. Don't worry about what I don't know, Ricky Bobby says about how you tie your belt. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
That's the worst, though. I saw a picture of a guy saying, "I'm so happy I got promoted today." Like it was like his second stripe white belt, and his belt tying was terrible. It was so bad. But instead of people saying congratulations to this guy, they're like, "You can't even tie your fucking belt, dude. Tie your fucking belt." Like, oh, man. Like I'm like, you guys are assholes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely for sure. Like pull them aside and be like, "Yo, this is how you should do it. At least for now, you know." Like, I don't know. Yeah, that's rough because we've been there. You know what else I've seen a lot? Kids that don't know how to well, not kids. I mean, you know, young dudes,
guys, yeah,
don't know how to tighten the pants with the I guess the drawstring.
Yeah.
And they just put them on. They're always loose. And you just gotta pull them aside. Just be like, yeah, you gotta pull the one string.
Yeah, you gotta.
It's a challenge at first for people who've never used. I guess you know.
It's literally just one really big string that wraps around the whole belt, the whole pants from left to right around. You just gotta pull it out. It's a very ineffective way of tying pants. I actually completely stopped wearing those type of pants for that reason. I actually wear Origin gi. It's the company that Jocko Willink started, I believe.
Okay.
Origins, and they actually have like a patented. That word is so weird. Like a belt buckle that's sort of flush, and you just clip it on and you pull it, and it's. And I've never, pants has never fell off ever. It's kind of pricey, but if you can afford it, it's Origin.
Have you ever felt the buckle when there's like a neon belly? Like
No, I don't know how it works, but the way they have it is it's a very thin buckle that is fairly much flush with your belt, so it doesn't really do much. No, it's pretty good. I mean, they're not sponsored by us. Maybe one day, but they're not sponsored by us. But yeah, Origin gi. I think they sell more than gis at this point. I'm sure they sell like kettlebells and other things by this point. But it's really good. I mean, jiu-jitsu is so. It's this black hole abyss where once you're in it, it's like you're never gonna get out. And once you hit purple belt, you're never leaving. You're just stuck forever, you know.
Yeah.
Or even blue belt, like the whole. I try to get out and they pull me back in. What was that?
Yeah, it's from what movie? Godfather.
From Godfather. It's like that. It's literally like that. And there was one time I went to Hooters and we were watching like a UFC fight, and one guy that used to train, walked in, and I saw him and I was like, oh, and I did that. And he looked at me, he turned around and walked the other direction. He just left.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, did you see? And I spoke to my friend, like, hey, so-and-so was just here. Like, he was? And then, like, another friend tried to text him. He didn't respond. I don't know if he felt embarrassed. It's like, oh, no, these guys are here. Like, I have no clue. I've never spoken to the guy ever since. Oh, man. Really bizarre thing, but I will hold you accountable to starting jiu-jitsu. You said by the end of the summer?
Yeah, I think by the end of the summer. I was also dealing with a small like hernia issue, so I took some time off also for that, and it was perfect. It worked out with COVID too. We needed to take a break, so hopefully I'll go get that checked out in the summer, and I'll get the okay.
Yeah. Oh, side note, after our first episode, which is again everywhere, I got really good like advice and tips and suggestions, but none of it was actually on the YouTube like comment section. If you have a comment, put it in the comment section. Don't text.
People go like this down below.
Don't text me like it. Yeah, put it actually in the comments. But yeah, like my phone was like not blowing up, but I got a good amount of replies, and I'm like, cool, can you like put that in the comments? Like, no, like, all right. Really, I mean, it's kind of, I hate asking for like subscribers and liking and all that, but like, that's what YouTube likes. That's what they like. So yeah.
Yeah. And if you can't finish watching the episode, but you're leaving your house, just leave it playing so I can play the whole video.
Oh yeah, this is a weird algorithm thing. Like it records how much time is being like how when people drop off and when people continue watching. It's easier to record or like I have my own YouTube videos, YouTube page, and it's like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes long. That's different. It's easy to get like 100% people watching the whole thing, but like an hour long, I don't know. That's tough to watch, or not watch, but to keep that consistent watch is people watching is kind of tough.
Yeah, people that watch that 100%, if it's an hour, is like old friends that haven't caught up with you in like a year, and they want to know what the hell you've been like doing and like what you're up to.
Like, what is Jose up to? Another episode? Who's that guy? There's another guy. But going back to the topic of love-hate, did you ever do like ESL growing up or anything like that? Nothing?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't born in this country.
You came out of the womb just speaking English? Like, how did that work?
I wasn't born in this country, and I did learn Spanish first.
Me too.
But by the time I was 4, I was learning how to read in English. So I kind of learned both at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, I knew English in kindergarten. So I did have some like advanced English courses when I was like 1st, 2nd grade. But then I was just slacker on my homework, so it just kind of
it
balanced out. And
we have completely different childhood memories. I'm the opposite. I actually did kindergarten twice.
Okay.
I liked kindergarten so much. I did for 2 years. No, all I did was I was actually pretty much a mute or a selective mute when I was a kid because of my lack of understanding of English. I just didn't really talk that much.
Did you know Spanish first?
Yes.
Okay.
But even then, due to my, I guess you can call it neurological disability, learning disability, I had a lot of like speech issues, and I actually had also lead poisoning as a kid.
Oh, wow.
Lead poisoning and ear infections and anemia. So yeah, I was fairly sickly. Not the best, but thank God my mom was very much but she's in the works in education system, and she's like, hey, my youngest one, he's different. And she made sure that I got the help that I needed and all that. But keeping with the theme of love-hate, like growing up a neurological disability or learning disability, like I hate it, but I also love it at the same time. Love it in a sense of you kind of feel unique, you kind of feel special. I mean, it's actually in the word like special education, like special ed. Mm-hmm. And, it's like you feel like you're not a part of the group as like the normal kids class. I actually remember in 6th grade, we actually went to school way back in 6th grade, believe it or not. Yeah. It was me and Dimell.
Yeah, shout out Dimell. Harper.
Yeah, I remember you, Dimell. I see you. He's doing his music now. I hope he's still doing your music, by the way. We would have to go down to the basement to like these like special ed classes, which we hated, and there's a bunch of times we just didn't go.
Where would you go?
We just sat in class, just sat there quietly, and to the point where like the teacher downstairs would have to walk up and grab us, like, you guys were like an hour late. And like, we are? And we just kind of pretend to be dumb. But it was like, I liked it because, you kind of feel special and you kind of feel like, okay, unique, and, you have like your own curriculum, your own individualized curriculum. That's what an IEP is. Individualized education. I don't know what it is, but look it up, IEP. The thing I hated about it is that, you viewed as a special kid at the same time. You viewed as like, oh, like, so what's wrong with you? Like, do you have ADD, ADHD, autism, Asperger's? What do you got? And growing up, I would tell people this, like, yeah, like I actually have like a learning disability and whatnot. And they're like, really? And this is always verbatim what they respond. You don't look like you have a learning disability. And I'm like, how am I supposed to look like? Like, how does a person with a learning disability supposed to look like?
Yeah, it just says a little bit about their, I guess, image of someone that how they perceive them.
I'm not Timmy from South Park or Jimmy from South Park.
Yeah,
and cool characters, by the way. I love them, but. Like, I always sort of, like, hated but also liked it. And also, I feel like that's why it's hard to conclude definitively, like, why I'm so into, like, the creative arts. I think that's definitely one of the reasons that I'm really into, like, art and painting and videography and all that kind of stuff. And I always get the thing, yeah, but, like, you talk for the most part well, like, yeah, because I've had like 5 years of speech therapy. Like, it was like jammed into my head. This is why I have a hard time speaking in slang. It just doesn't come out. Like, you'll never hear me say the word stoked.
Gotcha.
Or I don't know, I might say cool if that's about as far as it goes. But it's like and also trying to see if it go full circle with this. With dating, well, it was a train wreck. Dating is because I have a really hard time with like comprehension, reading people, like facial gestures. Like, I couldn't tell if a girl's disgusted by me or the other way, someone really liked me. I didn't even know it. I couldn't see the signs, the quote unquote signs.
Okay.
So like someone would say, oh, they'll like touch my shoulder, touch my hand. I'm like, like, I don't like that. Why are you touching me? They're like, no, let me see your hand. I'm like, why? Get off me. I couldn't see like, oh, they actually like me. This is them. This is a normal sign, Dave. Like they're trying to give you a sign that they actually like you. I'm like, no, it's creepy. Don't touch me. I'm trying to eat my food. Like,
Yeah, I can see that definitely working against you a little bit when you're trying to make a connection. But then again, you know, someone that you make the connection with can see that it's like an extra strong connection, you know, because of some of those hurdles you have to go through. You know, it just kind of like really establishes like, you know, how you feel and things like that.
yeah. And sorry. Whoa, I didn't want to burp into the microphone, but it's definitely one of those hurdles that I'm constantly going over. And like, I'll tell my students sometimes, like, hey, listen, I was like in your shoes too. I had special classes and all that. They're like, what, Mr. Kenna, what are you talking about? Like, you're like smart. And I'm like, well, in my field, in my particular like niche, I'm pretty smart, but like, don't ask me how to do algebra or calculus or anything like that. I barely got through algebra, you know. But throughout high school, elementary school, middle school, high school, I was all in like the special needs classes and whatnot. And what was this frustrating is that I would tell people and they just wouldn't believe me. And it was very, very, very like frustrating. It's almost like this is a really bad analogy, really, really bad analogy. But you know, when I told people, oh, yeah, well, when I first started working out, like, you know, I was really, really skinny. Like, what? You were really skinny, but you're like kind of fit now. What do you mean you used to be skinny? Like, well, I used to be really skinny. It's like, well, you develop, you know, when you're a kid, you know, you can't talk or you can't seem to comprehend. You don't know what's going on. But eventually you learn how to learn and you learn how, like, okay, this is how I work. And I don't know if that's the same with you growing up. I don't think it is.
No, I mean, yeah, like you said, I think we have completely
very different.
Yeah, I feel like most of my like school years, it was just me like coasting on me, like being able to like do things on the fly and like improvise. Like I would just, I never did homework in high school, and I somehow made it through and didn't get left back or anything. And I never did it. I would do it like the 3 minutes that we're sitting down in class.
Yeah, we're very different.
That's when I just do everything and get it done in time. And I did really good on my tests, projects, but
wow, I hate you.
I never did anything. Yeah, but it kind of sucks because I hate that I was like that because I didn't really put too much like eggs in the basket.
Or you didn't apply yourself, I guess.
I didn't feel like I wanted to go to college, things like that. So it was really for me like getting through the day, you know. So I don't know. I was just more focused on different things, you know. And I, you know, maybe like also having a little bit of like focusing issues too, you know, like
right
during school. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the part I hate, that I didn't want to be that valedictorian, or I didn't want to be that like 4.0 GPA kid. You know, I just was happy that I could get it done whenever and just continue my day.
Yeah, I wish. For me, it was like, or every day was an ordeal. I'd have to be like, if school started like around like 8 o'clock, 8:15, I forget what time it started. I would be there like at 7:45, 7:30, like getting ready and making sure everything was set. Because if I just showed up like, I used to see those students will walk in like right when the bell rang. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, I'm like this paranoid, anxious ball of like energy, like, and I just see people just waltz in like, oh, so what are we doing? And hand it in. I'm like what's going on? Like, and I would have like, or everything was an arduous ordeal for me. Like a test is like a quiz that's 20 minutes, or 20 questions, like quick, a quick pop quiz. I'm like, give me a minute. I'll just spend the whole period on that 20 question test. And I see another kid walk in and then just hand it in and walk out. And I'm like, I hate you. How do you do that?
Yeah. It's just, I guess so, it's like a
superpower.
Hyperactive brain type of thing. I remember, as my little going away story, freshman year in Garfield High School, I walked into English class, and on the first day I did this whole, like, we were talking about this book that we had to read during the summer to prepare for the class, and I spoke about it so well. I don't know how I did it. The teacher went to bat for me with the guidance counselor to put me into honors English, like language arts advanced or whatever.
Did you actually read the book?
No, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But then I went to that class, and like I said, I never did any homework.
Oh,
nothing.
wow.
And she never spoke to me again. She just disowned me as a teacher and never spoke to me again.
That's the worst. Yeah, teachers don't. I mean, I can vouch. Teachers don't like that when you like back a kid and then they don't perform.
Yeah, she like blindsided me or something. Like that movie with.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's a totally different thing.
Yeah,
He's a football player, but the English version of the Blind Side with me.
Yeah, it's but there's so many. I mean, I don't know if he's kept on topic. I guess we tried, but there's so many things that, based on how you view it, it can be a positive or a negative. And the things that you can love and hate something exactly at the same time. Like, I don't know how much time we have left, but I guess this is the last thing I mentioned. Like movies. Like, I love The Joker, but I hated it at the same time. I love the movie, and I posted this again on social media, and people were like so upset by me. They're like, I don't understand. How do you acknowledge something as a masterpiece but still not like it? Like, it's obviously a masterpiece of a movie. I mean, did you see it?
Yeah.
And the cinematography is great. I work in Newark, and there's scenes in Newark in it, and you can kind of what parts. And Joaquin Phoenix is like amazing, and I hate to say the word transform, but literally transformed into this character. And also knowing his history as an actor and his brother and his upbringing and everything, you're like, wow, this is everything kind of just clicked together, the right character, the right story, the right everything clicked. But I didn't like it because the character, the Joker, they kind of humanized him a little bit. And I'm like a bit of, not a huge like comic book dork, but enough to be like, okay, you can't humanize the Joker because that's what makes the Joker the Joker. Like, he's not rational. Like,
yeah.
I hate the word, use the word crazy, but he's almost a satire, parody, or an extreme of what crazy is, but it's not grounded in reality. But then they made this sort of like, I hate to say the word crazy because it sounds so dismissive, but they made this, character. They made it more human. But then, what happens when you rationalize that kind of behavior? You teeter on justifying it. Yeah. Then when you start teetering on justifying like killing somebody or people or being a terrorist in a way, you get into a place where you're going to start influencing people in a bad way,
Yeah, it's like that saying, like, when you start, like, sympathizing with the villain and he's starting to make sense.
Yeah,
just, hold on.
You need to be careful when you start, wait, what are you doing? It's
there was a little bit of that in that movie, yeah.
And it scared me. And at the end of the movie, I was like, I don't like that movie in any way. And going back to what we referenced in the last episode about the Queen's Gambit, about the great show and about chess and empowerment and this woman going up the ranks, against predominantly all men and succeeding. But the caveat is, like, what are you telling people that taking substances is the only way to get to your goals, like, and abusing it and just, like, what he's saying. So again, it's one of those like, going back to the Joker, it's like one of those movies where like I can acknowledge the great writing and everything, but if a person that didn't know the comics or didn't understand all the references and nuances of the actual movie or the source material, you might leave that theater, or if you're watching at home, you're home, rationalizing in your head, oh, I can behave this way and it be completely justified by it. you know. But I mean, I will tell you this though. I think the whole movie is just in his head anyway.
Oh, you think it's like
Yeah.
Oh, really? Damn. Do you think they're gonna do a second installment with him as the Joker?
Maybe. The reason why I think it's all in his head is because towards the end, he's sort of like, you know, that scene where like you wouldn't understand, like, why are you laughing? Like you wouldn't understand. I think that was a transition between like what we saw and what he was thinking, and that's what he was giggling about, like that hypothetical. What if this was my story? But that's how I saw the film. But I still, it's still one of those movies I'm torn. I love and hate at the same time.
Gotcha.
You know.
Yeah, it was great. I love the obvious like the staircase scene.
Oh yeah.
You know, one of the greatest scenes in that movie.
But what happens? People will destroy such a good thing. Then for like a whole month, people would travel to that spot in Brooklyn to take like a video or picture of them dancing, and like the locals there hated it for a whole month. They would like, yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I have a story about that with another. I guess we'll do it in another podcast, but with the documentary "Don't Fuck with Cats." Did you see that?
No.
Oh, well, it's about this crazy serial killer, and I don't want to ruin it. People, please check it out if you haven't seen it.
Where is that?
Well, it takes place.
Oh, I mean, what the platform?
Oh, I think it was on Netflix. I think it might
Netflix.
still be on there. But anyway, there's a part where he's in Canada, and there's a staircase, and I visited Canada, and we drove past it, and we're like, oh my god, we should go take a picture. And I'm like, no, that people are gonna think.
Don't be that person.
Yeah, glorifying serial killer. But yeah, anyway, I mean, I think we might have to do another installment of Love Hate, because
this might be a trend. This might be a reoccurring topic.
Yeah, because I have some lists things on the list we can get to, and
yeah, I have a huge list. I got halfway through
so
it.
Maybe we'll do another Love Hate episode very soon. But
yeah,
thanks so much for checking out episode 2. Leave some comments. Click the notification bell so you can see when we upload new content, clips. We appreciate you sticking with us through this whole episode, and hopefully you enjoy the podcast. You check out many more. On my behalf, say goodbye for now.
Yeah. David Diokendo, remember, words are tough.
All right, later.